It was wild because I want to ask you guys something. How does a really tiny, barely stocked store with no food, no customers, hardly no inventory, how does a store like that somehow cash $500,000 a month, not a year, a month in food stamps? How you do that?
Flag on the plate.
We're not talking a Costco, right? We're not talking about Walmart. We're not talking about Kroger or HEB or Publix. We're talking about a little ghost store, right? Just a little store, like a little bodega, right? I'm from the Bronx. I grew up at the corner store where you went there for convenience, but you knew the markup was super high, but they at least had the basics: milk, bread, if you needed some sugar, some diapers, some pickled pig feet, some they had things that you're like, I know I can go here to get what I need, but it's not like my main choice. Well, there was this store up in Boston that was literally over $500,000 a month in food stamps. How are we supposed to believe that this just happened, right? Was there no coordination, no instructions, no system knowledge? Is you want Americans to believe that we don't really know how this happened? Well, apparently, Americans, y'all, we're supposed to be stupid. We're supposed to be stupid. And so I ran across this bombshell federal case that, I don't know about you, but I think it should have every American outraged. Regardless of your political affiliation, you should be mad because this story isn't just about fraud. It's about who pays, who benefits, and who are the ones that get silenced when you dare ask questions. So let's take a look at this clip.
We are announcing federal charges against two men, Antonio Bonner and Saul Elisme, for large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. SNAP benefits are also known as food stamps. The defendants are charged with one count of food stamp fraud. As alleged in the charging documents, these men abused one of the government's most critical safety net programs for their own financial gain. This is taxpayer money meant to keep people from going hungry. These defendants decided to take it for themselves. These defendants exchanged SNAP benefits for cash, which they pocketed. Bonner, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, owned the Jesuela Variety Store. Elisme, a lawful permanent resident also from Haiti, owned the Saul Mache Mixe store. These two businesses were co-located within a single storefront in Boston. To be certain, these were not supermarkets. They were not full-service groceries. It would be a huge stretch to even call them convenience stores. In fact, the only thing convenient about these stores was how easy it was to commit SNAP benefit fraud. To put this in perspective, the Jesuela Variety Store is less than 150 square feet in size, smaller than some bathrooms. The Saul Mache Mixe store was approximately 500 square feet in space. By contrast, a supermarket can be 20,000 to 60,000 square feet in size, have a dozen or more registers, and employ numerous employees. Both the Jesuela Variety and Saul Mache Mixe stores had one register, no carriages, no hand baskets, and very little food for sale. One legitimate supermarket in the same area as these stores redeems approximately $80,000 in SNAP benefits per month. Over the last 20 months, the Jesuela Variety Store was redeeming between 3 and 6 times that amount monthly, with nowhere near the space, inventory, customers, or infrastructure to support it. The Saul Mache Mixe store redeemed over $120,000 in SNAP benefits in the last 6 months. Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these two stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits.
Y'all, ain't no way. Listen, I have been in retail. I was in retail for 11 years. My husband and I owned a furniture store. And at the height of our furniture store, we had 6,000 square feet. And furniture is pretty big, but your average tickets, our average ticket, I mean, a sectional, a sofa, a mattress. Do you know how much product you have to move to do $80,000 a month in like groceries? That's a lot of money. A lot of traffic. There's no way you can sell that much product in 150 square feet of space. It's not possible. It's just not. Especially when your average ticket ain't even $20, right? Like you can't do you no, it's not happening. So I wanted to cover this because federal prosecutors in Boston, Massachusetts, they just charged two Haitian nationals with orchestrating this $7 million, SNAP fraud scheme. Like, this is wild. $7 million. Okay. And the way they were doing it, they were using what investigators are now calling ghost stores. These are these little tiny stores with barely any inventory, little shops. And they were somehow processing $540,000 a month in EBT transactions. Let me say that again. You guys, do y'all realize that is 6 times the SNAP volume of a fully stocked supermarket? Like at the Kroger, 6 times the SNAP volume at the Kroger. That is not some oops misunderstanding or, we just culturally just didn't understand. No, this is called industrial scale fraud. I saw someone say somebody in the government knew about this. Absolutely, I agree. This was not somebody slipping a few bucks under the table. This was their entire business model. The whole reason why this little shop existed was to do this, the EBT fraud. Now, I know I'm black and slow from time to time, but I got sense enough to know that this doesn't happen by accident. Okay, this is where Americans, we need to wake up. We need to wake up because people don't just accidentally defraud the federal government for millions of dollars. Okay, and this didn't just happen because well, they're immigrants and English isn't their first language and they were just confused and they just didn't understand the rules. Nope, that ain't what this is. This happened because someone taught them. They got insider baseball as to how to do this. These systems don't get gamed by accident. They get studied. Okay? Someone figured out what SNAP looks for, what SNAP ignores, how long these audits take, what raises a red flag, what doesn't, and once someone proves that it works, that knowledge spreads like wildfire and it spreads fast. And that's how this scheme just started, probably just a few here and there, and it just spread. Like, we can't even use the excuse that, well, there was a barrier, a language barrier here. No, Americans, we so naive sometimes. We love to ask, well, how could people who don't even speak English learn how to do this? Right? Like, we ask that, like we slow and don't understand. But the question reveals how much of just out of touch we are. Welfare fraud doesn't require you to have a command of the English language. You don't have to have a high IQ. You don't even need to be politically sophisticated. All you need is some checklists, repetition, rinse and repeat. And once you've got that, you get a little coaching and recognizing patterns. Once the formula is learned, it's pretty much plug and play, right? And it's word of mouth. This is not about intelligence. A lot of the people who do this and are engaged in this kind of fraud are not that smart, but it's about opportunity plus instruction. And somebody is absolutely instructing these people on how to do this. And so let's stop pretending like we don't understand how knowledge of these types of fraudulent scandals spread. These schemes, this information is spread through ethnic business networks. So if you have a business and you're of a particular ethnicity, you're going to tell your other individuals who are in business of your same ethnicity of how this works. You've got community organizations, these advocacy nonprofits, you got a whole word of mouth pipeline, right? Like people who are already in the know and have beat the system, they're the ones that are sharing how this works. So when one store pulls in $500,000 a month without any consequences, oh, they're like, dang, we got the blueprint now. Here's how you do it. Here's what not to do. Here's what the government is gonna ignore. Y'all, immigration at this point is like the new hustle. And unfortunately, I don't know if we're supposed to say don't hate the player, hate the game, or both, but this is institutionalized instruction at our expense. We, the taxpayer, we are the ones that are shouldering the burden of all of this fraud. And so this system where probably to them it screams low risk, but people respond to incentives, not speeches of, fraud is wrong, right? Like the American welfare system is sending a really loud message, and the message is that there's no oversight or weak oversight at that. When it's time for them to enforce, they kind of slow with it. By the time you get caught, you could be back in Haiti, right? And then add to the cultural dynamic. There is a political fear of being called racist, and I told y'all this cowardice was going to be the Achilles heel and the destruction of this country. Being worried about what people call you, and I don't want to be called racist. Like at this point, who the heck cares? Yes, I know we've got activists who are putting pressure on individuals to expand the government and not verify these things. And bureaucrats, they would rather look the other way. Like your Tim Walls, like your Jacob Frays, they'd rather look the other way than to confront the fraud. But in fact, I think they were in on it, but that's my opinion. Allegedly, I'm just saying. Listen, when you've got all of those different elements coming together, the message becomes so clear. You won't get caught. And if you do, by the time they catch up with you, it'll be years down the line. We are effectively allowing ourselves to being taken advantage of because of pure negligence. Because big government is inefficient. And layers of bureaucracy is what creates the environment for fraud like this to happen. This is why I'm a small government kind of person. I'm not saying we don't need no entitlements, but the fact that any and everybody can get on EBT now, like, that's a problem for me. And it's a problem that Americans, we're the ones that are told to shut up. That should make you angry. The only people that are not allowed to question this are the people that's paying for it. Hello? Right? That would be us, the American people. Because Lord forbid if Americans ask, well, why is this so easy to exploit? Like, how does this even happen? Why aren't these stores being flagged immediately? Like, we're footing the bill. These are legitimate questions that we should be allowed to ask. But when we ask, we're told, don't you say that. You're being xenophobic. That is insensitive. Your white privilege is talking. Well, what's my excuse? Because I ain't white, okay? Now, I do got some black privilege. I was born black. I'm an image bearer of God. That is the ethnic expression and the skin that I'm wrapped up in. And I'm a friggin' American and I pay taxes. So that's my privilege, okay? And you can say I lack compassion all day long. I do not want to pay for this. Taxpayers are the one who fund the system. Taxpayers are the one who have to absorb the losses. We are carrying the burden. Our children have to carry the burden. Silencing us is not moral. It proves that you are corrupt as the day is long. And so we have to reform this system. SNAP has a component where there's a federal component and there's a state component. This happened in Boston. So that's liberal, blue Massachusetts. It's happening in other states as well. And the question that we need to be asking ourselves is, can this system be reformed? Right? Now, what some people might think is reform, for me, reform is not, well, let's cut, helping people who absolutely need it completely. That's not reform to me. I'm not even saying that we need to demonize all immigrants and punish the individuals who are honest recipients. But when you have this kind of widespread fraud, it makes it hard for everybody. So everybody's going to be under the microscope. And that's just the cost that you got to pay. It is what it is. But reform could look like, why don't we have real-time transaction monitoring? Right? Like, why aren't there monthly inspections to a lot of these stores to see if the inventory is matching the redemption results? Like, have some inventory to redemption audits. You're redeeming this much in EBT. Well, how much food did you even buy this month? Why is it that I remember a time when it was incredibly rare to find a store that wasn't a grocery store that accepted EBT? Why not tighten up the retailer approval requirements? What every Jim Bob and Patel and Habib, can everybody doing EBT now? Right? I mean, you can even use EBT on Amazon now. You really can. There needs to be some clear consequences, because if EBT is supposed to be a safety net for the needy, at this point it is easily exploited. It's an open vault, and I don't want to pay for this anymore. So the real question isn't how did they figure it out, right? The real question is, why did our government make it so easy? And why did they ignore it? I'm thinking it's because when fraud becomes so routine, when the oversight fails, the leadership fails, and accountability fails, Americans, we're the ones that are treated like we're the unlimited ATM. Like there's just this bottomless pit of money that they are allowed to have access to. I reject that. So I understand some people have this opinion of America that we're just full of resources and it's unlimited. America has always been generous, okay? But generosity without accountability makes us vulnerable. And right now, these immigrants have figured out that Americans are slow and vulnerable, and let's get the bag while we can. Our kindness has been mistaken for weakness. This is why you need a strong president like Donald Trump. You don't have to like him, but if he is going to figure out a way to get this fraud, this waste, and this abuse under control, you, the taxpayer, will benefit, because now the bill is due. And I don't know about you, but I believe that Americans deserve honesty and accountability, and reform is necessary. And you have to stop letting these people gaslight you into silence. Americans have been known to be incredibly courageous. But I am afraid that, and it's not just masculinity is under the attack, our American mystique is gone. I'm like, so you just let anybody come over here and take advantage of us? That is not the American way. That is not the American way. But I wanted to cover this, you guys, because this story escaped me. I didn't see a lot of people covering it. This was just two Haitians. They were getting the bag, y'all. Basically, you could go there and instead of using your EBT card to actually buy food, they were washing the money and then taking a cut from it. They were processing millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in EBT transactions, and the store is smaller than a bathroom, a master bathroom. One store was 150 square feet, the other store was 500 square feet. Like, where's your inventory? So at least they got caught, but it's not enough. They need to crack down on this, and they need to do more. That's my opinion.